Throughout this process of making an opening thriller sequence, I feel I've learned a lot of things about the industry, such as editing, adding sound into my film, cutting shots, using tools on Final Cut Pro such as effects like fading, dissolving, repeating sounds, dragging, making Foleys, and using GarageBand to find certain sounds that would fit into my sequence. From the start I liked using the camera, and as I went along I learnt how to use white balance and making sure the framing was in a good position, because learning from my preliminary, the angles were sometimes inappropriate for the shot and some objects in the shot were not needed. The space was useless. When we first began our preliminary, I was practicing on zooming in and out and using a tripod when needed to make sure it was still, but I occasionally used the handheld as it worked in some aspects of the film when the tripod can be awkward to use. We achieved these by just practicing shots over again when doing the prelim and picking the best ones to go on for the final video of the task. Throughout the prelim I learned a lot about how to make a sequence, and I am glad we did it because it made me realise and learn from my mistakes, which was an advantage when it came to doing our real thriller sequence. When we were set a task to do work with lighting, that also helped me. Learning all the different angles you can achieve with lighting to make it look real in areas where you needed it. In our final product, we decided to use bright lighting, even though a lot of thrillers are known with low-key lighting. As I have gone along, I have learnt a lot about Final Cut Pro, for example, rendering, cutting shots, playing sound over the top, and we eventually brought all of these things into our thriller. But what did get on our nerves was a constant rendering of the whole sequence every few minutes when we put something else on, such as an extra cut or sound. If we were to go back, we would have made sure when filming that we had taken a lot of extra shots to make sure we didn't get any wrong and that they were perfect, because we were having a struggle with one of our shots when it didn't look smooth and flow. Throughout our final thriller sequence, we made sure we kept the 180-degree rule, making sure our film made sense and that it wasn't disorientating and confusing. The duration of our shots depending on the time in the film. Some long tracking shots that went on for up to 10 seconds, and others were fast-paced transitions. For example, towards the end when the protagonist had turned on the bath, we showed fast-paced clips of the bath running at different angles and shot sizes. Other difficulties throughout making our thriller were things such as making sure the timing was right, for example the sound and action. Our difficulty was the sound of when she turned on the bath, matching the water running out at the tap at the exact time, but eventually we fixed that. Overall I felt our thriller had used a good amount of shot sizes, editing was successful and sound was parallel, but if we had longer we would have added flashbacks to make it more understanding for the audience.